I always want to finish that little like made up clip thing with like the Sports Center tag, and I don't know why. It's probably not good. I probably don't own the rights to that. I just feel like everything makes like it's such a better vibe when it's like so like final when you're like ba-da-now. Oh man, I don't own the copyrights to any of that. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Dustin Heveron. You're listening to Speaking in Absolutes. It's a podcast / vodcast that I run from my balcony because I hate having good neighbor friends. We're going to be breaking down some stuff that's going on in news, sports, love, and we take your questions like always. If you want to get involved, hit me up at don'taskdustin@gmail.com. So, no time for shenanigans. We got to just get started today. We got to bust right into it. The first thing I got to say though is I saw Star Trek over the weekend. The new Star Trek movie, the Into Darkness. That's the new sequel of the reboot of the movie adaptation of the TV show. There's a lot of layers going on there, not in a good way. But I actually really liked it. I was surprised. I enjoyed the first one. But this one met my expectations. It didn't get too J.J. Abrams-y in terms of like throwing like unnecessary random weird plot stuff at you. I feel like sometimes people give him kind of like an M. Night Shyamalan sort of rap where they're like, J.J. Abrams, you better, and they expect some kind of like crazy twist, like the painting was, just our perspective the whole time or whatever. More important than just the sheer fact that Star Trek was a good movie, and it was that we are on the cusp of something truly amazing, truly that I don't think has ever happened. We are so far looking at a summer blockbuster series of movies that could potentially, bear with me here, be the perfect summer. What I mean by that is no flops. So we started out with I'm already gonna mess up the order, but I feel like Iron Man was kind of the kickoff of the summer. Star Trek was good. There's a third action type movie that I'm missing right now, but we're talking about there's the potential that we're all of the summer blockbusters that people are really into. Gatsby was good, although I don't know if that counts as a summer blockbuster. There's not enough explosions and things like that. Where every movie lives up to or meets expectations, or at least is not a giant flop. I don't know if you follow the summer blockbuster season as closely as I do, but that is scary. I mean, that is like, the potential for that to happen is once in a lifetime for sure. Now, granted, we're only about a third into the official, quarter to a third into the official season. There's plenty of time left, and frankly, if I'm you guys, if you're with me, there are some movies that you should be worried about out there on the radar. There's a few coming out where you're like, I think that one, I don't know if that one's going to like break the chain or be the one that kind of ruins it for everybody. That said, Man of Steel, I think, is the next big one. Hangover 3 comes out this weekend, but I don't know if people are anticipating that to be the same level of summer like blockbuster that because it's not like a specific action movie. Although all the posters have Vegas exploding in the background of things, so maybe it will be more blockbuster than we expect. How it's really going to break down is essentially, if it's good, I'm going to include it in the count, and I'll be like, oh, it's amazing, the summer is being able to do that. And if it's bad, I'm going to be like, well, it's a comedy, it doesn't matter anyway. So, but Man of Steel is the next big one, the next one that's really being anticipated, and you know what? It looks like it's going to be good too. So you're telling me that I could be sitting down in a few weeks doing the same podcast, which comes out every Thursday, by the way, and there's the potential that we can be mid-June, which is getting pretty close to halfway through the kind of summer blockbuster season, and not have had a bad major release movie yet. That's pretty special. As someone who gets really stoked for superhero movies in that kind of year, I'm into that, and I think that is amazing. So keep it posted. Of course, the only way you're going to know if a movie was a flop or a success was when you come back here and find out whether or not I saw it the next day. So keep it right here. Check back at your Speaking in Absolutes podcast central, however you watch it, whether it's iTunes or on the website or on my blog or whatever it is, and we'll hook it up. Moving right along. So I was seeing a play the other day, which is like, that's not impressive. That's not the story. And I walked into like the corridor, and I don't know how they do this, but like sometimes they plays like nice places like theaters and places where plays happen. They like will pump this kind of scent through the room and this is the one I got was like a super like a very fruity like starbursty sort of like waft of scent as I'm walking towards the hallway down toward the bathroom, and it kind of like reminded me of Skittles at the time. And so I walked in and I was like, I said out loud, and I don't know why I did this. I was like walking by myself. I was alone. I was like, taste the rainbow. And what I realized was that is got to be on the top list of the top 5 phrases that you do not want to say walking into a men's bathroom by yourself. A crowded men's bathroom, and I'm just walking around the corner. I'm like, taste the rainbow, and people are like, you could have heard like the record scratch sound as I walked in. But the thing is, if you guys, for those of you who know me in real life or just follow me on stuff, like I'm kind of a nervous talker. So when I create a nervous situation like that, shocker, I know you're like, what? Dustin talks. I like try to talk to cover it up. And so, ladies, for you out there, what you probably don't know is that the men's bathroom may as well be the cone of silence from the Get Smart series of movies. You do not speak in there. It's like a given. Like if you have to say something, like if your stallmate is on fire and they're burning, you should probably just let them figure it out on their own. But if you're feeling really generous and you want to be like, psst, I think you're on fire, or like if there's like an attacker about to like shoot somebody, you should probably say behind you. But even that would be kind of frowned upon. They would just take, I feel like they would understand, they just wouldn't be real happy about it. So you do not talk in the men's room. So now let me paint the scene for you where we have like not a large men's room, you know, it's like maybe like 4 or 5 stalls with about 10 people crammed in various lines and washing hands and getting ready and done. And so I walk around the corner, taste the rainbow, and then I like start going into material because I see it's such a weird thing that I've said in a weird situation that immediately I'm like, well, no, you know, what's the deal with like the smells in the hallway? And this guy knows what I'm talking about, like doing audience work and things like that. It was not a good situation. I'm not particularly proud of how things shook down. And frankly, I don't even know how I got out of there. I like blacked out. All I know is I woke up in my seat. So they probably beat the hell out of me is what happened. No swear this week. They probably like just beat me up and put me back in my seat. Cause all I can really remember is like waking up back in my seat for the second half of the play and being like, oh my god, I just did 7 minutes of material in a men's room that I opened with taste the rainbow. But what I realize now is that's not appropriate for a bathroom situation, but that might be a good open into like regular like just when I enter a room. Just come on in and be like, taste the rainbow, and have it be my new catchphrase. I feel like Skittles, they can't fire you for using a catchphrase in person. Although, I guess now that I think about it, that kind of comes off like it might be like super gay pride, which I'm not gay, but Dimitri Martin does that good bit where he's like, not gay, but supportive. And so I don't want to commandeer their phrase either by being like, no, this is mine now. Or I could just pretend not to know. Anyway, the moral of the story is maybe we should all come up with a good catchphrase to like yell when we enter a room. I won't use taste the rainbow. I'll see if I can come up with another. You can come up with another one as well, and you can tweet them at me at ocdustino, hashtag speaking in absolutes, or email them to me at don'taskdustin@gmail.com, and I'm going to steal the best ones is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take your good ideas and commandeer them on as my own because, hey, we're in America. That's how it works. The next thing we got to get to is to touch on sports. And actually, real quick, I made a note about this earlier. I got to send thoughts and prayers to the people in Oklahoma who are going through the tornadoes out there. We want to know that they're with them. Something I'd encourage you guys to do. It's easy to send thoughts and prayers and. Oh, isn't that nice? Something I'd really like to encourage you folks to do is send some money, send some service if you're close, go help clean up or things like that. There's something that kind of frustrates me, but is becoming kind of a habit in the world we live in now is you have a disaster or a tragedy, and this terrible thing happens, and people they say, oh, our thoughts and prayers, or we send our love, or blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying that those things are bad in and of themselves, obviously. I'm just saying that it's, we got to do more. Whether you just got to, it can't end with thoughts. Like, some people are like, oh, sending positive thoughts out there is helpful. And I believe in the power of prayer and not so much in the power of just happy thoughts. It's not Peter Pan. But I think that you add more potency to what you do and the sentiment behind what you say when you add action behind it. So don't become part of the complacent culture, and this includes myself, who's content to just say like, I'm sorry that happened to you guys. No, donate $10 to Red Cross. Go without a couple lattes that week, or you find the $10. It's not that big of a deal. And help out however you can. Encourage your friends, donate clothes, help cleanup services. There's a million ways to help out with those kinds of things. And so what I challenge you to do is to do that. Give what you're able to. And I know I will. Hopefully you guys can do that and hold me accountable for that kind of thing too. And send me your stories so we can all kind of support each other through this sort of thing. And that's kind of I guess prayers are kind of an okay transition to what I was going to talk about next, which is Tim Tebow, who he's been dropped from the Jets. That's not news. But what is news is it looks like he may be done playing football. There's not as much interest in Tebow mania as there may have been recently, and that's bad for the sport. I know what you're thinking. There's kind of two camps that people fall into on this kind of thing. There's the anti-Tebow kind of like, well, he's not really a great quarterback, and he won't let himself play anything else. So why should he be playing at an elite level? Why should he be the number 1, the number 2, the number 3 guy on a pro team? If his mechanics are bad, or if he's not, doesn't bring this, or he doesn't do that, and his technique is bad, and he doesn't read, a defense or anything real well. And then you've got the pro Tebow crew who tend to be like, oh, Tebow, he's just such a good guy. He deserves a shot. I kind of find myself somewhere in between, which I know is ironic because this podcast is called Speaking in Absolutes. But the fact of the matter is, he deserves a spot on an NFL team. And I don't mean deserves as in like, oh, he's a nice guy. Because some of the pro Tebow guys are like, well, he's just such a nice guy. You just got to give him a spot. Well, it doesn't work like that. It's not, it's a football team. It's a business. If every nice guy got on there, no one would want to watch because they'd just be like a bunch of like scraggly, dorky, like loser kind of kids playing offensive line. They'd get crushed, and it wouldn't work out very well for anybody. It'd be a terrible sport. So when I'm saying he's a good guy, what I mean is he's good for the league. I do think he's a positive role model for kids, and you can go back and forth or take or leave the whole the Christianity element out of it. Regardless of whether or not that lines up with your personal beliefs, the fact of the matter is he is a good role model. His work ethic is second to none. You can't picture, at this point, he's been in the public eye for what? 8 years, 4 years in college, 3 years pro, and he hasn't had the scandal yet. And I'm not saying he's perfect, and I don't think he would claim that either, but at this point, you just don't feel like you're going to hear about like, oh, Tim Tebow drug arrest this week on, whatever, TMZ or anything. CMT, the country music channel. You might hear about it on there too. I bet he likes country music. But he's a good example of a work ethic, of someone who can take less than some of the skills of his competing quarterbacks and things like that and still make it work. So I think he deserves, the kind of the public ethereal zone we have is better with him being more prominent in it. And then on a football team, I think, look, the dude is an athlete. The dude is going to work. He's going to learn your system to the best of his ability. The reason he can't play tight end, I've heard press kits of him saying, I'll play whatever position I need to. I think he's worth it if you put him in there on a gadget play, or if you've got him as your second, even as the dude who's holding punts. You feel like that's going to at least give you the option of like, it makes a defense think twice, and you need every second you can buy in the NFL. Or put him out there as a tight end or as like a specialty running back. There are a million places where you can work him, and even if he only gets 5 plays a game, he's happy, he's getting league minimum. I don't think you have to pay him quarterback money. And at the same time, then you get the bonus of having him in the league and having everything be better. So please, NFL guys, when you're listening to this, don't let Tebow go to the CFL, the Canadian Football League, or go play overseas or something. Keep him here, get him here. Let's take advantage of him, and let's try and raise more kids who are not such assholes like everyone else in the world, myself included. Let's get a guy who's, got a good work ethic and seems to be nice. And let's make that a positive example for once and see something good come from that. Regardless of whether or not he ends up playing football or where, Tebow's going to do a lot of good. He strikes me as the kind of guy who will start up some kind of foundation if he hasn't already, and he'll continue to hit the public speaking circuit and stuff. He'll be just fine. So Tebow's going to do some good stuff out there. I can sense it. Got to wrap up with one question here. We'll take today, and I'm excited about this one because it's a personal question of mine that I think this a lot. And so we had Matt W. From, does it say where he's from? Spokane. I think that's Washington. Oh, God. So I just had Matt W. from Spokane. Anyway, he asked, what's the appropriate way to hit on your friend's hot friend? And so he specified, that's kind of the watered down version. He specified that, so he's essentially friends with a hot girl. And this hot girl as hot girls are wont to do, has a hot friend. And so his question is, how do you appropriately hit on the hot friend? That's a good question. I think it's a question a lot of people want to know about. The answer, in my experience, this is tricky because it depends on context a little bit. Like, for instance, have you and hot friend one, so the one who's your hot friend, have you guys ever gone out on dates? What kind of history do you have? Have you hit on her at all? And if so, how far has that gone? If your hot friend is a girl you dated for like 3 years, well then guess what? All her friends are pretty much off limits to you. And honestly, that was a bit of an extreme example. But frankly, if you've been out kind of at all with your friend's hot friend, all her friends are probably already off limits to you. So it's a very delicate situation. And I think the biggest thing I can say is, and again, this is kind of more advice for myself, speaking from experience. If you're meeting someone, you think you meet a girl and you're like, oh, she's attractive, I would say get to know her, put some time in there, figure out if she's the one you want to date of the friends, because the last thing you want to do is eliminate that entire circle. God, this sounds like such a dick thing to say, but you don't want to eliminate that entire circle of hot friends just because you kind of casually get along with this one attractive girl when you might really have a connection with her other hot friends that you don't want to burn bridges there. So that's it. I think that the appropriate way to hit on it is to kind of pump the brakes, don't do anything crazy or out of control or jump on anything, and get to know those people, treat it like any other group, and see with whom you have the most connection. It may be the original attractive friend of yours that you're like, oh, her and I get along, or you may find one of her friends that you're like, wow, me and Stacy really hit it off. I think the important thing is just to not rush into any kind of like, oh, you're a girl, let's make out, kind of like zone like that. I think you have to like take your time with it a little bit. And again, that is advice of experience from doing the opposite. So I'm not very good at that kind of thing, and I have many upset friends of hot friends and hot friends themselves who are all like, yeah, Dustin's an a-hole, he took him out, and then 2 weeks later he hit on my hot friend. That's an extreme example. I never did that, but actually I might have in college. I don't know. I can't think right now. Hey, if you know me from college, send me some horror stories that I might have forgotten about me hitting on my hot friend's hot friend too soon. That's all the time we've got for today. I'm still saying we. I just don't think I'm ever going to break that habit. We're going to run in the next thing. My name's Dustin Heveron. This has been the Speaking in Absolutes podcast. As usual, you can hit my blog at dustincharles.wordpress.com. You can hit my personal website at dustinfanclub.com. You can find me at ocdustino on Twitter and Instagram. If you really want to get to know me, you can add me on Facebook. I'll probably just let it sit in the I don't know you queue for a while. So hit me up. Let's make it interactive. Matt, you got your question answered this week. So if you want to get your question answered, hit me up over here. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know what you love or more likely what you hate. And we'll all hang out. We'll have a good time, all right? So I will see you. We do Speaking Absolutes. It comes out on my podcast site, which is on Libsyn somewhere every Thursday. You can find me on iTunes at Speaking Absolutes. That's all my promo stuff. That's all I got time for. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm going on to the next one. See you.